What is going on, guys? We are back with another video today, and we are doing another experiment on Madden 22, and today it's a bit of a, does it kind of matter type of experiment. Does anything matter? Do we even all exist right now? At the end of the day, we're all going to die one day. Not at the end of the day. Hopefully not at the end of the day. Yeah, what a great start to the video, but we're going to be testing if X Factors or Superstar abilities matter in Madden 22 simulation. Of course, we know when we're playing the game that they definitely matter. There's some abilities in the game that can actually completely ruin your experience with the game. May even ruin, objects around your house, specifically walls, controllers, whatever it may be. But in simulation, which a lot of us do play Madden for non-gameplay. Some of us just rebuild. Some of us do, trading challenge, whatever it may be. There is, a factor to that, right? The game values Superstar and X Factor players higher, obviously, mainly due to the fact that they'll last longer in regression and progression. But I also have to imagine some of that does come for the fact that they have abilities, right? When you have Superstar or X Factor, they have something on the other players in the game. Of course, sometimes the abilities are actually negative. It's not very common, but abilities like, what is it, Blitz? No, is it whatever the damn, I don't remember what the ability's called, but I think Russell Wilson has it where he can see the first player open. I think it's an X Factor ability. I think that's a negative because it's not always super true and it distracts you from the game. And I also think Quick Draw, it used to be kind of decent, but the throw out of sack animations are really bad in the game, which, I mean, in fairness, something like that does kind of need to exist. But Quick Draw kind of amplifies that and allows you to throw more picks, which the word allows usually means a good thing, but not in this case. But how does that matter in Sim? Not having abilities to having abilities, does that change anything? Now, I do have to remember to turn off all XP sliders because that would play a little bit of a factor too, being normal dev, star dev versus X Factor. The X Factor players, Superstar players are going to dev up faster, so that could kind of change the way it works. But I'm curious for this, not only just in general, but there's a lot of different experiments I've done where I'm like, oh, do I really have to change all their, their abilities and their fact that they're Superstars or X Factors? If we can conclude that they don't matter, I don't have to do that in the future. Also, when we're doing rebuilds, there's a plane flying over. Guys get to Superstar, they get to X Factor, and 9 times out of 10, I don't look at that. So, when an X Factor guy of ours, becomes an X Factor quarterback, he's usually missing 3 abilities. So, if those abilities actually do matter, we're missing out on some, elite level play, perhaps. I almost never add abilities to players. Sometimes if I'm upgrading them or we're showing at the end, I'm like, oh, I'll give them this just for the hell of it. But realistically, that the rebuild's over at that point. So, if they matter and we have a fast quarterback that gets this X Factor, and that sounded like Sex Factor, which is obviously what Tom Brady's bringing us. But, we want to put escape artists on them or whatever it may be to make them a better player. But, of course, enough of that long intro. This is pretty much the squad. They're all normal development trait. Brady's back. All this stuff is happening. Star dev, normal dev, doesn't matter. Because, once again, it's all about the abilities. But you first have to kind of get something to compare it against. The same exact roster. The exact same depth chart moves. I did put Gronk back on both teams just because if he's coming back, for another year, I would imagine this is where he's going to play. And more importantly, they just would have had Cameron Brate, which is not a great overall player. But literally the same exact depth chart all the way down to, the sub linebacker, the rush DTs. Everything's the exact same. Yeah, sorry if there's birds or something in the background. I decided to have the window open because it's snowing. And it's like not even half a day away from April 1st. I'm not expecting any more snow. I'm enjoying it. Kind of. Trying to. I don't know. But of course, we kept everything the same, like I said, with the playbooks and all that stuff. This is how the team went. I was expecting a playoff, Super Bowl team. But we'll see how good they actually play. And more importantly, how they play to the other team. The fact that Tom Brady's still killing it here does not surprise me. But I will say, that is a lot of interceptions for Tomothy Brady. And it's like Thomas, but, Tomothy is Super smart sounding as well, obviously. But a 93.3 passer, I mean, that's pretty bad. Leonard Fournette, that's kind of what I would expect, but, I mean, it could just be a formality, but I'm going to be honest, that is a lot. And I mean a lot of interceptions for Brady. But if the second Brady does even something like in the 13s, 14s to 20 range, I don't know if that's going to really be a whole lot for me to go off of, right? Blocking, you see, 17, 22, 26, 29 sacks allowed. And not only did I, of course, we'll get into that in a second, not only did I obviously make everyone an X factor, but I also put on the best possible abilities at each position. We'll go through some of them, not all of them, like, some guys don't even have double abilities, but yeah, I mean, not terrible sack numbers, so I mean, it's hard to tell, but I will say that it's looking pretty regular on the defense. For the kicker, 14 for 17. Obviously, we added kicker abilities as well, which would be the most OP ability by far. 3K for the punter, 52.6 per. But yeah, it would be definitely the most OP by far. We gave him focus kicker, which is just, I mean, specifically for a punter and kicker. I mean, I would say punter is less important, because obviously they don't give you points technically, but field goals are in general pretty easy. And also, it can kind of hurt you, especially if you're not only a franchise player and you don't get focus kicker often. Getting iced with that is probably really tough. But we're going to see if they can make the Super Bowl or not. They're looking pretty good so far as they're headed on, going up against the Bears in the championship round. They're in the Super Bowl versus the Bills of all team. And, I mean, I got to admit, it's looking pretty bad for the superstar or a higher team. They lose in the Super Bowl, but not by much. All right, so here we are with the God Squad, if you will, the team. And there's some X factors, of course. Not every position, but a lot of them. Several backups as well across the board. I mean, it's a very good team. I mean, you look at quarterback Tom Brady, based on what he could get, we gave him Omaha, if we ever get to see it. Omaha, inside Deadeye, pocket Deadeye, pass lead elite, gunslinger, and protected, which is just juice to F. Leonard Fournette couldn't get evasive, but he ended up getting like bulldozer and armbar, I believe, which is super OP. As far as wide receiver, I think Mike Evans is double me, route tech, I think it's called, and red zone threat, which is just like really good for him. And then I think we gave Godwin the same thing, but instead of route or red zone threat, he got some sort of route running, like out routes or something. Gronk with double me, short in elite, and route tech is just so OP for a tight end. Offensive line, guys like Wirfs, I think he already had a pretty good ability, but secure protector and edge protector, like how do you even beat that? Interior Ryan Jensen, I think he has something like all day with Matador, which is, you're going to go against the bull rush more often than not on the interior. What about linebacker Levante David? I think he has like mid-route KO and lurker. I mean, that's just broken as hell. Cornerbacks, I think they all have like mid-route, except for Carlton, who's a little bit on the slower side. Kind of built to lock down the short, so we went with the flat. Vita Vea, he has inside stuff with El Toro, which is just super good. I mean, it's just a great team all around with these abilities. So, at the slightest, you would at least see a better performance at positions like the quarterback spot, positions like the wide receivers you would think would do better. Defensively, the run defense would be like impossible to beat. I think Joe Tryon has no outsiders, same as Barrett. So you have two guys in the inside with inside stuff, and then you have the outside guys with no outsiders. I don't know how the hell you would be able to run. You just simply wouldn't. Playoffs, and the team is also 10-7. Okay. Just to prove, I don't really have a horse in this race, but I suppose if EA's watching, like, oh yeah, show him you didn't cheat, huh? Show him you didn't cheat. Trying to make us look bad. I don't know how that, the season went comparatively, like, were they the exact same wins and losses? Probably not, right? But let's take a look at the numbers. You can see Tom Brady looked like he was better. I mean, touchdown. I mean, I gotta say, like, it's, I can't really tell. But that is a significant difference. What about rushing numbers? The rushing touchdowns, there's only 5 less. I will say yards per carry-wise was 3 less yards per carry. It might just be complete coincidence, but 11 touchdowns more, 14 less interceptions. Completion percentage was down 2%. Yards was down 100, or up 100 anyways. Receiving, obviously, pretty similar stuff. Blocking, I think we allowed 29 sacks. This one allowed 23. I mean, it's hard to tell because of the Brady situation, but overall, it looks very similar, right? Like, the sacks, I feel a little bit better here, but, I mean, I can't, like, the kicker was worse. If you have, you know, I mean, like, it just doesn't make any sense. The kicker was worse, the punter was pretty similar. I mean, the kicker would not be worse with focus kicker. It's, like, impossible to miss with that. But once again, it's in sim, so you just don't know. I want to take a look at the defense. So for the defense, there was, how many fumbles? 6 fumbles, 20 interceptions. So this defense, with better abilities to lock down in coverage, got 10 less picks, which, once again, if we're trying to defend the legitimacy of it, it does make sense that, you know, you would probably get less interceptions with better coverage because the quarterback could probably just take more sacks, which you can see here is the case. I mean, if there's anything to be taken from this, it would be that maybe, just maybe, abilities affect pass rusher. Outside of that, though, I can't confidently say they matter at all. You know, yards allowed was 200 less. Would all those amazing abilities only amount to 200 less yards? That's just coincidence. I mean, that's just simply put, it's coincidence. And it wouldn't even surprise me if this squad, just because it's hard to make the Super Bowl in general, won't make the Super Bowl. They're playing the Rams here. They probably lose this game right here. And they don't. Never mind. Maybe they do go to the Super Bowl. Maybe they win it. And someone's like, see, knew it. Abilities matter. It's like, I don't think they do. We did a video similar to this, but I don't know if we did. Yeah, we didn't even make the Super Bowl here. I don't know if we did the full team, you know, quarterback all the way down to the punter for abilities. I know we did O-line, fullback, and, you know, tight end or whatever it was. I don't remember, kicker, punter. But I gotta say, I mean, once again, the Tom Brady thing threw me for a little bit of a loop. The pass rush threw me, you know, a little bit, but I think those are just coincidence. I don't think abilities matter in sim. I really don't, which they absolutely should. I don't know how you would factor that in, but we know how broken those abilities are. If you have escape artists, you should absolutely be running for more yards than the rest of the league. You know, you should, you know, as far as non-other escape artist quarterbacks, you should be running for more or at least a better yards per carry because it's just so brokenly good. Gunslinger, you should be able to throw longer, have more yards on the season more than likely. You know, if you have edge threat, you should be in the double-digit sacks every single season no matter what, which definitely is not the case in the game. You know, it just, that's not in the game, and it needs to be. It just needs to be because, once again, there's a lot of people that do rebuilds. I mean, they're very popular on YouTube. Lots of people record and upload them. You know, it's very popular to do, upload, whatever it may be, and the sim doesn't reflect a huge part of the game, which is abilities. You know, when you're trading for these superstars and X Factors, it's not just they're deving up, you know, at least specifically when you're usering that you would be going for. It's their abilities as well, and it just doesn't seem to matter in sim. So going forward, this is going to be the video I reflect back on. If anyone wants to say, oh, but the abilities, you can't count that as the sim. The experiment's ruined because you didn't factor abilities. Like, I think this probably proves it, right? Once again, with the Tom Brady thing, we could probably simulate another 10 of these, and it would probably be a lot more even. But the fact that, you know, he had a better touchdown to pick ratio, but 2% less in the completion percentage, which is around the same yards, it's just random. It's just randomized, you know, less yards per carry for Fournette, and you know, I think it's pretty obvious that they just don't factor. Same with the traits. I think all this stuff, I mean, realistically, the traits don't even feel like factored in actual gameplay. So, I mean, if there's anything else you'd want us to take a look at, myth bust or whatever you want to call it, let me know in the comment section below. I am always looking at it. Maybe not always responding timely, but I always look at the comment section below, and I'm probably going to get back on like a week of backlogged comments section. We'll have another video a little later today. Might be a speed rebuild. And then I think for the off-season video of the Dolphins franchise will be on Saturday. I still don't know fully when I'm going to do this relocation franchise. I've been thinking about it. And I've also kind of debated, you know, kind of dabbled with potentially bringing back the Raiders franchise just because the QB breakouts kind of changes everything. I will say it was a huge part of the reason why I wanted to end the Raiders franchise. I was like, okay, so we won the Super Bowl with kind of a little underdeveloped of a team, but we have a quarterback that I don't even think developed a star He'll never have cool, fun abilities. He'll never be that guy. But with QB breakouts back, he could be, right? You can get multiple QB breakouts in a season. He could go from normal to superstar or X Factor in 1 year's time, whereas before, you know, we need 3 seasons minimum. So, I mean, there is possibility for that to come back as well. So, I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do yet. I'm still just enjoying what I'm uploading, and hopefully you guys are as well. Regardless, if you enjoyed, maybe leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. It's free. You can always unsubscribe. I hope you don't. But of course, second channel, PK Plays, uploaded a video there yesterday, and then twitter.com/Jeromepkr, where I neglect to tweet, but when I do, they're golden. Kind of, not really. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you guys come back for next video. Perfect timing. But until next video, see ya!